I woke up in a stranger's bed. But he swears we've been married for a year. I woke up in a soft, comfortable bed, wrapped in a warm blanket, my head pounding with a brutal headache. Blinking several times, I tried to take in my surroundings. "Hey, are you all right?" A warm, gentle voice asked from nearby. I turned my head and saw a man sitting by my side, watching me with concern. Soft blue eyes, perfect blonde hair, broad shoulders, the kind of man who looked like he belonged in a fashion magazine. My chest tightened, though I wasn't sure if it was confusion or something else entirely. He reached out, brushing his fingers across my forehead. I flinched, not from the touch, but from what it meant. Familiarity, intimacy. "Are you okay, Noah?" My name. He knew it. I blinked, forcing myself to keep breathing. "I'm sorry, but I don't remember your name," I said, my voice quiet. His expression shifted, the warmth in his eyes dulled. "Is this a joke, Noah?" I shook my head, slowly this time, my temples throbbing with every movement. "Liam," he said, gesturing toward himself. "Do you really not remember me?" I hesitated, let my gaze fall to the sheets. "No, I don't," I murmured. He sighed, long and shaky. "Noah, it's me, Liam, your husband." I stared at him, letting the words settle heavily between us. "Husband?" I didn't respond. "We've been married for a year," he added, lifting his head. A silver ring glinted under the light, identical to the one on my own finger. My fingers curled slightly. My eyes flicked between his face and the ring. I let the silence stretch just long enough. Then I said, When did that happen?" I slowly sipped the coffee Liam handed me. It was warm, comforting even, but it did little to settle the thoughts stirring in my head. Over the past hour, he'd been telling me everything. How we met, how we fell in love, how we ended up married. Photo albums and videos were brought out, each one more intimate than the last. He sat across from me, his gaze never leaving my face, as if searching for even the smallest flicker of recognition. "Remember the time we went on that road trip and you got sick?" he asked, a hopeful glint in his eyes. I shook my head. "I have no idea what you're talking about." He let out a quiet sigh. "I guess that makes sense." "What do you mean?" I tilted my head in confusion. "You had a minor accident a few days ago," he explained gently. "A car hit you while you were crossing the road. Luckily, it wasn't going fast, so you only suffered a small head injury, but it seems like the damage was worse than we thought." My stomach dropped. "What? An accident?" Liam gave me a reassuring smile. "Yes, but don't worry, you'll be fine soon." He paused for a moment, lost in thought, before standing up. "I'll be right back." A few moments later, he returned and placed a document before me. My eyes widened as I read the words at the top. Marriage certificate, signed by both of us. "I'm sorry," I murmured. "I don't remember this either." Liam's expression faltered, but he forced a smile. "No problem. There are plenty of other ways to help you remember. I'm sure everything will come back to you in a few days. Why don't you rest for a while?" I gave him a tired nod, watching him walk away before sinking into the cushions behind me. He was trying so hard to bring back what we had. And me? I just sat there, silent, with nothing real to offer in return. Liam woke me up early and dragged me to a small cafe near our house. I glanced around, surprised by its simplicity, yet there was something comforting about it. As we settled at the corner table, I said, "I like it." Liam chuckled. "This was your favorite place. We came here every morning before work." I studied the menu. "Is this my favorite?" Liam smiled softly. "Caramel macchiato? Yeah, it is. Looks like you remember some things." "Yeah, I guess," I murmured, then asked, "What about you? What's your favorite coffee?" "A simple latte," he shrugged. "Shall we order?" I asked, gesturing to the counter. He nodded and returned with 2 cups of coffee and golden croissants. "These are the best with coffee," Liam grinned. I took a bite, savoring the buttery croissants and the perfect caramel espresso. "This tastes like heaven," I sighed. Liam chuckled. "That's your most famous line." "Really?" I tilted my head, amused. Before I could react, Liam brushed his fingers near my lips. "You had a coffee moustache," he explained with a smile. I blushed, looking away. Flustered, I focused on my food as we continued chatting easily. Liam had been taking me everywhere. Parks, restaurants, cafes, movie theaters, all in an effort to trigger something. A memory, a feeling, anything. But nothing changed. I gave him nothing. "I'm sorry," Liam suddenly said, regret in his voice. "Sorry? For what?" I asked, confused. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I've been dragging you around, trying to make you remember me and our marriage. I should have focused more on your health." "You didn't do anything wrong," I reassured him with a smile. "I feel fine. Thanks," he said, though his tone was still serious. "No more running around." "What do you mean? You're giving up on me?" Anxiety crept into my voice. Of course not," he quickly said. "I could never give up on you. I have a better plan." "A better plan?" I frowned, unsure. He said softly, "I'll take you on dates, buy you your favorite things, and recreate every special moment we've shared." "And what will that do?" I asked, still confused. "Even if it doesn't help you remember everything, it will make you fall in love with me again," he said with a warm, sincere smile. I stared at him, surprised. "Do you care about me that much?" "More than you know," he replied softly. I held his gaze for a moment longer before nodding, offering another smile. "All right, let's try it." He didn't know what he was getting into, but then again, neither did I. Liam had been carving out time from his busy schedule to take me on dates, recreating our memories. Whether it was hiking, dancing, or simply enjoying quiet moments, we had no intention of giving up, and I didn't want him to. Today, we went for a peaceful picnic in the nearby hills. After eating, we lay on the grass, watching the clouds drift by. "Doesn't this feel peaceful?" Liam asked. "Yeah, it does," I nodded. "And kind of fun, too." "Fun? How so?" he asked. "Look at the clouds." I pointed out an elephant shape. "Can't you see different figures?" Liam chuckled. "Reminds me of what I used to do as a kid." "Well, we don't have to be serious all the time," I said. "Sometimes we can just forget everything and be kids again." He looked at me for a moment before nodding. "All right, let's do it." We spent the next few minutes laughing and pointing out all sorts of shapes, dragons, rabbits, and more. It was simple, but it felt perfect. After a while, Liam spoke. "You know, I never thought I'd marry for love." "What do you mean?" I asked. "I come from a wealthy family. I always thought I'd marry for convenience, but then I met you." "And fell in love?" I finished for him. He smiled. "Yeah, slowly. At first, you were just an escape." "As you were for me," I thought. "So why is your wealth hidden?" I asked. "Family enemies," he chuckled. "Keeps us safe out of the spotlight." "So, it's safe somewhere?" I pressed. "It's safe," he said, narrowing his eyes. "Why the sudden interest?" I smiled innocently. Just curious. I want to know everything about you." His suspicion faded, replaced by a smile. "Lucky me. Maybe one day I'll tell you where it is." My heart raced with excitement. "Thank you for not giving up on me," I said sincerely. "Of course not. You're the most important person in my life," he replied. "And you are in mine," I said, and in a way, it was true. Liam was the key to my future fortune. My act was going perfectly. He hadn't suspected a thing. All I had to do was keep pretending I had lost my memories. A perfect plan to con Liam. I grinned. Liam had taken me to another fancy restaurant, and though I remembered the place, I acted all forgetful. But I have to admit, getting to enjoy these places wasn't a bad deal at all. What do you think of this place? Liam asked. It's beautiful, I replied honestly. I knew you'd like it, he smiled. We were enjoying the dinner in peace when Liam suddenly asked, Noah, do you remember the first time we met? And then he shook his head, smiling. Of course you don't. Silly me. I still remembered that night. I'd gone to the bar looking for another Mark, another man to con. Liam was drunk, charming, and far too easy to talk to. One thing led to another, a kiss, a night at a hotel. I never planned to see him again. But something made me stay. Maybe it was instinct. From our conversations, I could tell he was wealthy. Later, I found out just how much. He was hiding a secret fortune. What about that? Did something special happen? I asked, feigning curiosity. Liam chuckled. That's just it. I don't even remember it well. All I remember is one thing, that amazing kiss and the night I spent with you afterwards. I suddenly felt a tinge of anger and sorrow. Liam didn't remember anything. But we had conversed for hours, and I had almost poured out my heart to him. I guess all the guys are the same. And you're proud of that fact? I said bitterly, unable to hide my true feelings. Liam shook his head quickly. Of course not. I always regretted it, you know. That I wasn't able to remember a single conversation with you that night. I felt furious at myself for being so drunk. Then why mention it now? I asked, surprised. Because I just wish you had your memories. Then we could have all those conversations again, and this time I would listen to each and every one of your words carefully, he replied sadly. I suddenly felt something inside my heart, something I didn't recognize. I gazed at Liam's sad eyes, trying to figure him out. This man could have his way with me any way he liked, yet all he wanted was some simple conversation. I shook my head. No, I was thinking too much. He must have some other motive behind it. He has to have it. I hadn't spoken much since then. I could see the worry on Liam's face, but I just wanted to be alone for a while. As we stepped outside the restaurant, raindrops hit my face. I looked up. The sky was dark, and the rain had started. Great, I muttered, as if this day couldn't get any worse. Liam grabbed my hand suddenly. What are you doing? I snapped, frustration rising. He grinned, unfazed. Remember when you said we should enjoy being kids? How about now? You want to get wet in the rain, I shot back. Is it such a bad idea? He grinned. Yeah, I hate getting wet. I don't want to get sick, I retorted. Come on, Noah, live a little. He smiled. His sincerity made my heart ache. Fine, I said, giving up, but only for a few minutes. A few minutes is all I need, he said, pulling me to him. Suddenly, we were slow dancing in the street. What are you doing? I asked, annoyed, but couldn't help smiling as he twirled me. Having fun with you, he grinned. Is this your idea of fun, getting wet and sick? I raised an eyebrow. Among other things, he smiled softly. Really? What other things? I asked, the rain falling and his gaze making me forget everything. He leaned closer, brushing his lips against mine. I don't think you're ready for those things. I kissed the corner of his mouth. Maybe you're wrong. I'd love to be wrong, he whispered, then leaned in for a soft, tender kiss. As the rain cooled our skin, I sank into it, savoring the warmth. When he deepened the kiss, I ran my fingers through his hair, pulling him closer. It was only the second time we had truly kissed since that night at the bar. Every kiss before this, every touch, had been an act, part of a game. But this one felt different. Here, in the rain, it wasn't just a kiss. It felt real. And somehow, it was like the most perfect kiss I'd ever known. I paced around in my room, furious at myself. I had kissed Liam. I had kissed Liam! How could I have done that? And the worst fact was that I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't a fake kiss or anything. It was a real, intimate kiss. How could I have let myself get distracted from my target? I was thinking this when Liam appeared in my room. You alright? He asked worriedly. Of course, I replied, smiling warmly. Well, anyway, I wanted to let you know I had planned another surprise for you today, he said casually. A few hours later, Liam drove me somewhere while keeping everything under wraps. A little while later, he took my hand and pulled me inside a large building. I soon realized it was some kind of concert. Look there, Liam replied and pointed at a group of men who were entering the stage. I stared at them in shock, and without even realizing, tears fell down my face. Do you remember them? They used to be your favorite band, Liam murmured. I'm not sure, but I can feel they're special, I half lied. But their concert tickets are almost impossible to get. How did you manage? Liam smiled warmly. It was difficult, but anything for you. Before I could say anything, the venue filled with their soulful music. The truth is, this band has been my salvation since childhood. I always wanted to see them sometime, and today, my most cherished dream was coming true. I suddenly gave a tight hug to Liam. Thank you for this. But Liam just smiled carelessly. This is nothing. I'm just glad I was able to fulfill your dream and make you remember something. I stared into his soft gaze, filled with love and concern, and a wave of guilt washed over me. It was the same guilt I had been feeling for days without even realizing it, and in that moment, the truth became clear. I had started caring about Liam, maybe even more than I was willing to admit. After that concert night, I was unable to think of conning Liam anymore. Sometimes I tried to refocus on my target, but whenever I gazed at Liam's smiling face, everything became impossible. It was just a lazy afternoon, and I was relaxing with Liam on the couch when he spoke. I want to tell you something, Noah. What is it? I asked. I think I want you to know where my fortune is hidden, he replied casually. What? Are you crazy? Why would you tell me that? I shouted, jumping from the couch. I'm not. I've thought about this a lot, and you deserve to know. I trust you completely, and I want you to use it if something ever happens to me, he explained. I chuckled without humor. You trust me? Yes, of course, he replied confidently. My heart ached, and I could feel tears stinging my eyes. How could anyone trust someone so easily? How could Liam trust me? I didn't deserve his trust, nor his care and love. I don't want to know it. Nothing will happen to you, I replied adamantly. Well, I want you to know, Liam firmly replied, and despite my protests, told me about it. I don't know who was the fool here, Liam for trusting me this much, or me for cheating a man like Liam. But the thing I did know was I couldn't cheat Liam. Not anymore. Not now, when I had finally realized I cared for him too. I was just pacing around in my room, thinking about what to do next, whether to stay or leave, when Liam burst into my room. You liar! He shouted. I was surprised at the tone of his voice and was even more shocked when Liam grabbed my collar. What happened? I asked in surprise. You're a con man, aren't you? You've been cheating me for 1 year. And that amnesia and everything was just an act, wasn't it? He yelled. How did you find out? I managed to ask, reeling from the shock. I knew you were an orphan, but I still tried to find information about your family or upbringing so that I could find someone to help with your memories. Instead, I came upon something else. I found out about all those other people you conned, and I was going to be another of your targets, he shot back. Liam, I'm sorry, I mumbled, but it felt useless now. I don't need your fake sorry. To think that I trusted you, cared for you, loved you, Liam said the last words sadly. Liam, I tried to hold his hand, but he pushed me away. No, don't you dare to play with my feelings again, he shouted. I know nothing I say will change how you feel, but I still want you to hear my story. My earliest memory is of the orphanage where I spent most of my childhood. After that, it was just one foster home after another, and I learned a harsh truth early on. Honesty and innocence didn't get you anywhere. I continued. So I started lying, acting. I was only 7 when it became second nature. It was the only way to survive. Eventually, I ended up working under a man who taught me how to con people properly, and it became my way of life. Conning people was always easy for me, Liam. Even with you. It started that way. I planned to con you, but somewhere along the way, I couldn't. These are all just excuses. You could have told me the truth at least once during our marriage. I want you to leave. I should have called the cops on you, but I just can't. So leave. He replied firmly. I nodded. If that's what you want, then I will leave you. I will get out of your life and never show my face again. But even as I turned away to leave, it felt as if my heart was shattering into a million pieces. It was true. I hadn't cared for Liam for an entire year, but just when I finally realized that I did, I had to walk away, and I had to do it for him. The hardest part wasn't that Liam now knew the truth about me. It wasn't even that he had uncovered my deception. It was the fact that I had betrayed him. I had broken his heart, and there was nothing I could do to fix it. I stole one last glance at him before stepping out of his house, forever. I sat at the bar, drink in hand, watching people come and go. Months had passed, yet I couldn't forget Liam. His smiling face, and worse, his devastating expression, haunted me. This, I guessed, was my punishment for hurting him. I was sipping my drink when a warm voice interrupted me. "You look like you could use some company." I turned around to see a handsome man before me. He had golden curls and bright green eyes that seemed to see right through me. "I'm fine," I muttered, not wanting to do anything with him. "Well, I've been told I'm a good listener." He smiled. "I've nothing to say. Leave me alone," I replied, annoyed. "But you do look like you've a lot on your mind." He raised an eyebrow. "That's none of your business," I snapped. He took a seat beside me. "Relax. You seem to have been drinking a lot, so I was worried about you. By the way, it's Ethan." He smiled. "You don't even know me." "I'd like to," he said, voice gentle but firm. "Why? So you can feel good about helping some sad, drunk stranger?" "No, because you look like you haven't talked to anyone in a long time, and maybe you need someone to listen more than you realize." I let out a bitter laugh. "What makes you think you're that someone?" "I don't," he said with a soft shrug, "but I'm here anyway." "I'm used to being alone," I said, my voice quieter now. "Maybe, but easier isn't always better," he replied gently. I didn't respond, because for the first time in a long while, someone saw through the walls I didn't even realize I'd built. I was sitting on a park bench, watching the traffic go by, when a familiar voice called out, "Hey, it's you." I turned. It was the same guy from the bar, Ethan. "Didn't expect to see you here," he said with a grin. "Are you stalking me?" I frowned. "I could ask the same. This is my usual jogging route." He shrugged. "Then I'll leave," I muttered, starting to get up. "Wait, stay. I didn't mean to upset you," he said, sitting down beside. "Why do you keep talking to me?" I asked. "Because I know what it's like to lose everything," he said softly. "And I see that look in your eyes." His bright green eyes seemed darker now, sad even. Could he really understand? "Here," he said, offering me a piece of chocolate. "Food helps." I took it. As it melted in my mouth, a small smile formed. "Thanks," I muttered. "Finally, a kind word. Must be my lucky day." Ethan grinned. I rolled my eyes. Whatever. "So, do I get a name?" "Noah." "That's a pretty name. Kinda like you," he said with a wink. I glanced at him. There was something easy about talking to him. "Why are you really talking to me?" He leaned back. "Because sometimes a stranger is easier to talk to. No expectations, no judgment." His words sat with me for a second, heavier than they should have. He turned to me, smiling gently. "I'm just here, if you ever need someone to sit beside you." There was no pressure in his tone, just calm, quiet sincerity. "Okay," I said, softer than I meant to. And for the first time, in what felt like weeks, I didn't feel completely alone. A few hours later, I was scrolling through my phone when a news article stopped my heart. Liam's name flashed across the screen. There was an attack on his home. His family's enemy had struck, and Liam had been injured. A sharp pang of worry hit me. I had to go back. For him. Hours later, I stood outside the hospital room, my hands trembling, my heart hammering, but I hesitated. But despite my fear, I knew I couldn't walk away, not this time. I stepped inside the ICU. Liam lay unconscious, attached to tubes and wires. It was hard to see him like this. A few minutes later, when the nurse returned, I began helping care for Liam as she instructed. Hours passed as I stayed by his side, hoping he'd wake up soon. I had fallen asleep when I felt a stir before me. "Noah?" A soft voice whispered, the voice I'd been desperate to hear. "Liam!" I cried with happy tears. "You're all right!" But when I looked at him, I saw nothing but hatred in his eyes. "What the hell are you doing here?" he spat. I had been taking care of Liam for the past few days, yet he hadn't spoken a single word to me. Today, he was finally being discharged, and I was the one taking him home. As I carefully helped him walk out of the hospital, Liam suddenly pulled his arm away. "I don't need your help," he muttered, but I took his hand again, holding it firmly. "I know, but you do need my help." My voice softened as I added, "I promise, I'll leave once you've recovered. Please, just let me do this." For a moment, it looked like Liam was going to argue, but then he just grumbled and let me take care of him. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, his voice quiet but firm. I took a deep breath and started. "Because I owe you. Because I already hurt you in the past. Because I want to." "Do whatever you want," Liam muttered, but his voice wasn't harsh as before. And so I did. I stayed. For him. "Here, I made your favorite pancakes," I said, putting a plate in front of him. "You remembered?" he asked in complete disbelief. I smiled sadly. "I remember everything about you. I guess I just never realized how much I cared." Liam didn't say anything and just quietly dug into his breakfast. After a while, he softly spoke. "Thank you. But this doesn't mean I forgive you," he added. I nodded. I wouldn't think of it. "You can leave, you know," he suddenly said. "You don't need to put yourself through all this. You don't need to act like you care," he said harshly. His words stung me. I knew he was lashing out of hurt and anger, and I deserved it, but my heart still felt pained hearing all those words. "I know you don't believe me, Liam, but I do care, and I can't feel sorry enough for betraying you," I replied softly. "Do you? Is that why you lied to me for a year? Used me like a pawn?" he snapped. "I know I'm guilty of hurting you, and I can't change the past, but I'll prove I've changed, however long it takes." Liam shook his head. "Words don't mean much anymore." I watched as he got up and walked towards the door, leaving me alone with my thoughts. Liam was slowly getting used to my presence. He didn't hate taking my help so much now. I didn't know if I was winning him over or not, but it was definitely a start to redeem myself. Liam sat on the couch, studying me. "You really aren't leaving, are you?" "Not unless you completely recover," I replied. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "You're infuriating, you know that?" I gave him a small, sad smile. "Yeah, I get that a lot." Then suddenly, Liam softly muttered, "Thank you for taking care of me." "It was nothing. I wanted to." I shrugged. Liam nodded and looked at me softly, and for the first time there was no hatred, no anger in his eyes. Maybe things were going to be fine, and maybe, just maybe, I could hope to be back in Liam's life. Liam and I sat in our favorite cafe, a place we hadn't been to in a long time, after Liam had told me to leave him. Everything felt both strange and familiar as we enjoyed our usual order and chatted casually. "So, what are you up to these days? Still dancing in the rain?" I asked, smiling. "No, I don't enjoy the rain anymore," he replied, a hint of sadness in his voice. Then he grinned. "You? Still watching clouds go by?" I chuckled. "Nah, that was childish. We all have to grow up sometime." "You're right," Liam said quietly. "How's work?" I asked, shifting the topic. Same old deadlines and meetings, he shrugged. Some things never change, I smiled. I got a new job, though. What is it? I'm a music instructor. It's a simple job, he remarked. I smiled softly. Music's always been special to me. There's no better way to share that love. You really have changed, he whispered. I nodded, feeling guilty. I tried my best. It wasn't easy, but here I am. Yet I couldn't forget one thing. You. I didn't either, Liam admitted, his expression softening. For the first time in a long time, I saw a chance to rebuild what we'd lost. I want you to meet someone, Liam suddenly said as I was relaxing on the couch. Who is it? I asked, surprised. He took a deep breath and started. After I told you to leave, I felt lost, betrayed. I had lost all hope until I met Alan. Alan? I mumbled, the name feeling foreign on my tongue. Liam nodded. I wasn't ready to trust again, but Alan changed that. He made me believe in love again. He loves me, like I once loved you. If he loves you so much, where was he when you were in the hospital? I snapped, jealousy flaring. I didn't want you to meet him. I was afraid you'd hurt him too. He paused. But I see you've changed. That's why I called him here today. I froze. Liam? With someone else? What did that mean for me? Moments later, a handsome man approached, smiling kindly. Liam had said Alan didn't know everything. Liam mentioned you. Nice to finally meet. Alan said warmly. Yeah, same here, I murmured, shaking his hand half-heartedly. Alan turned to Liam. Why didn't you tell me you were hurt? I should have been there. I didn't want you to worry, Liam said gently. I'm allowed to worry about you. I love you, Alan replied, voice steady. The words hit me hard. Watching them together, I saw it. Something real and mutual. Something we never truly had. I still cared for Liam, but it was time to stop clinging to the past. I had to let go and leave. Noah? Liam called out just as I was about to leave. I had finally signed the divorce papers. We had ended our marriage together. Yes, I said, my voice thick with emotion. You hurt me a lot, whether you meant to or not, he said quietly. I know. I'm sorry, I replied, guilt heavy in my chest. I believe you, he nodded. So I'm forgiving you. I want to move on with the person I love, and I think you should too. Let's leave the past behind. Thank you, I whispered, tears threatening. I gave him a brief hug, not sure if I'd ever get the chance again. I'll never forget you. He smiled, eyes a little sad. Yeah, you'll always be part of my memories too. As I said goodbye to Liam for the last time, my heart felt like it was breaking all over again. I was walking away with nothing while Liam had found his love. I was alone, once again. I sat in a cafe, my favorite caramel macchiato in front of me, untouched. Since walking away from Liam, everything felt empty, like nothing mattered anymore. Another cup appeared before me. I looked up. Ethan. What are you doing here? I frowned. Seems like fate keeps throwing us together, he grinned. Or maybe you're stalking me, he smirked. Nothing like that. I actually work here. Oh, I blinked. Yep, I'm the barista. If you like the coffee, I'll take the credit. I didn't even taste it. That's why I brought you a fresh one, he said with a smile. I glanced at the cup. A smiley face was drawn in the foam. For some reason, it made me chuckle. This is cute. Mission accomplished, Ethan grinned. And what was your mission exactly? To make you smile, he said, entirely sincere. You always like this? I asked softly. Like what? Trying to make strangers smile? Only the cute ones, he winked. I shook my head, smiling. It's been a while since someone tried. Ethan sat across from me, his expression soft. I don't know what you've been through, Noah, but I've, seen that look before, on myself. You? He nodded. But I found my joy again, in small things. Coffee, conversations, moments like this. I stared at him. For once, I didn't feel the need to hide. I've done terrible things, lied, stolen, hurt people. Somewhere along the line, I lost myself. Ethan reached out, his fingers brushing mine. Maybe it's time to start over. Not as the person you had to be, but the person you want to be. I didn't pull away. His touch was warm. I don't even know who that is yet. Well, he smiled. How about we find out, together? I don't deserve this, I whispered. Maybe not, he said with a playful glint. But I'm giving it to you anyway. In that moment, time seemed to slow. Ethan stood and held out his hand. Come on, let's go for a walk. I hesitated, then took it. And as we stepped out together, fingers intertwined, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Hope. It turned out that Ethan and I were the perfect match. Over time, I shared the entire truth about myself with him, and to my surprise, he accepted me, despite everything. He saw me for more than just my past. As I spent each day, each moment with him, I gradually learned how to fall in love again. Much like music, Ethan became my salvation, the love of my life. We built our relationship slowly, one step at a time, learning to trust and cherish one another in ways I never thought possible. And as time went on, I realized that with him, I wasn't just surviving, I was finally living. Were Noah and Liam right to let go of each other and find love again? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.